No formalities, this is the NHL Western Conference. Central Division, Nashville. Another wonderful year for the Catfish, another relatively quiet deadline. At least that was the case before they traded away Ryan Hartman and next year's fourth for a washed-up Wayne Simmons. Just why? You better pray to God that Simmons reverts to his younger days in Philly, otherwise this could horrifically backfire. I would have figured they'd go for a guy that would help out with their power play, but one can be mistaken when they think logically about day-to-day hockey operations. Let's hope that a certain man between the pipes doesn't become too good right now in April, lest you add another cruel chapter of your legacy of failure. He's not getting any younger either, so it's win now or bust. Winnipeg. Apart from a couple hiccups where you've inexplicably lost games you had no business losing, this team is a hot favorite to go deep in the playoffs and win the Central for the first time in franchise history. Their scoring depth rivals that of Toronto on most nights, and on the American dream known as Connor Hellebuck, he hasn't lost a step from last year's Vezina caliber year in net. I love the Nathan Beaulieu trade, as that'll bolster up their defensive depth as well, so don't disappoint like the Jets that came before you. And always remember, you aren't the real Jets. St. Louis. So, you finally stopped kicking your fans in the dick, huh? Couldn't have happened to a more opportune time, considering the Blues management was a few losses away from a fire sale and a full-scale rebuild. Now it's just a matter of can the Blues keep this momentum up for the playoffs. Regardless, I am in love with Jordy Bennington playing out of his goddamn mind with a .940 save percentage. It sounds awfully familiar with a certain other goalie who wrecked ship with the Blues in 2016. Unfortunately, he signed with Buffalo after a heartbreaking defeat in the conference finals that very year. Don't repeat history, guys. With the Capitals lifting their curse, you're the new Gong Show. Don't fuck it up. It'd be one thing if you just got beat. It'd be a whole nother thing if you straight up collapsed or choke. Your move, St. Louis. Dallas. Dallas! Stars! Dallas! Stars! Dallas! Stars! Dallas! Stars! Feel the glory. Seriously, how anyone thinks that is not the best goal song in the NHL, just shoot yourself. That is the best goal horn in the entire NHL. Hell, I love Dallas as a whole. That place is awesome. As for the team, I still can't get a read on them. And it's March. On one hand, the Stars have a highly productive first line that can carry the team to victory. On the other, they lack any sort of depth and constantly find themselves fighting for possession control and killing off penalties to the point where it neutralizes the first line's production. This is not a playoff team that gets past the first round, even if they do get in the playoffs in the first place. You can't just rely on Ben Bishop to carry this team in April, and you complemented this by acquiring Matt Zuccarello. Too bad he got injured on his first game with the Stars and will likely not return to April. Back to square one. That's just rotten luck. Minnesota. Let the bitter crying commence as yet another Minnesota-based team horrifically underachieves and misses out in the playoffs, and when they're expected to go deep. Might as well slap some purple on this team and call them the Vikings. Even with the solid coaching and healthy years from Parise and Suter, Devon Dubnyk just hasn't been the same for the Wild since the All-Star break. With acquiring Ryan Donato from the Bruins, it's still possible this team clinches a wild card even after all the stupidity that came with this year and only having 68 points. Colorado. You have the same problem as the Stars. You have a highly productive first line, solid goaltending, but lack any sort of depth that can benefit the team in any way. Unless the bottom six remembers that they're paid to play hockey, I don't see the Avs making the playoffs. 68 points and a world of inconsistency. Perhaps winning in overtime would help, but what the fuck do I know? Chicago. This team is exactly like the Minnesota Wild, except they've been dealing with injuries. They've got their core guys producing in spades, terrible contracts for death pieces that couldn't be traded away, and injury-prone goaltending that can't get 40 starts. Fortunately, Crawford has been put back into the lineup since, but I don't see that making any difference. So let's hope the Blackhawks don't finish last in the West. But yeah, their playoff hopes are a sad, distant memory. For anyone that thinks otherwise, just know that they have 63 points. It's not happening. Pacific Division. Calgary. I'm impressed. 89 points later, and the Flames haven't collapsed and are looking to run away with the Pacific. If anyone predicted this at the start of the season, I would like to know the Powerball numbers, please. I had this team starting out hot until the injury bug bit them in the ass like every other year, but that hasn't happened this year. Dare I say it, but they might actually have a solid chance at a cup run. Keep your eyes out for this team. San Jose. You would think that after acquiring Erik Karlsson to pair with Brent Burns, that defense would not be an issue for the Sharks. Unfortunately, it appears as if San Jose's main weakness is their defense. Some of those high goal-scoring nights can be blamed on Martin Jones being inconsistent, but I have confidence that he'll figure it out come April. He always does. As for the rest of the team, status quo. Everyone is playing high-end hockey and don't think they have any chance of slowing down either. Jumbo Joe may not have another year left in him, so if I were you guys, I wouldn't fuck around like you've been doing for 15 consecutive years. Either win the cup or fuck off. I'm tired of waiting. If you don't, I have a special surprise for you. Vegas. I may not like the Golden Knights as a team, but goddamn if they haven't been making history and shooting everyone out of the water as of late. 73 points and they just bolstered up the team even more by acquiring Mark Stone and locking it up for 8 more years. Now if only Max Pacioretty could play some meaningful hockey, we could get something going like last year. They may not repeat last year's anomaly, but they're definitely contenders as is. Arizona. Baby, I'm howling for you. Oh, oh, oh! Now, if only the Coyotes could stay healthy, they could be a solid wild card at 67 points. Granted, that means they're still out of the race for a wild card, but I don't think that Minnesota will stay in the playoff race as the season approaches April. So it's within the realm of possibility that the Coyotes clinch the second wild card in April before a brutally fast trip to the golf course cancels the rest of their season. That, or Gila River Arena melts the ice under the Arizona heat. Whichever comes first. Vancouver. Well, with that loss to Arizona last night, I'm pretty sure that means you're out of the playoff race. Unless Jim Benning continues with the stupidity of his tenure and actually pushes for a playoff spot they likely won't clinch. Regardless, once this team develops in a year or two, this will be a dangerous team. Come back in a couple years with this one. I'm excited. Edmonton. Give me a hell, give me a yeah. Stand up right now and get the fuck out of the playoff push. McDavid's a beast, Shirelli is gone, the team is still trash, so get the fuck out of the race. Get ready to play on the golf course. Hey, 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 hey. Hey, 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 hey. On a more serious note, as a fan of the Wichita Thunder, can you please get your organization together? It makes the Condors and Thunder look bad when you're acting inept. Anaheim Ducks. Well, too little, too late. Sure, this team has dealt with some injuries, but don't try to blame only having 57 points on anyone else but themselves. For one, they should have fired Randy Carlyle much sooner than they did. Secondly, it's nobody else but management's fault for rewarding mediocrity with multi-year extensions. You reap what you sow, Anaheim. Now bask in your failure and horrible trades. LA Kings. Fuck you, Spanos. God, that line will never get old. Urinating Tree already did an extensive vid on these old-ass fuckers, and I have nothing more to add to it except that you deserve to be in this situation you're currently in with how you treated throwing money around like it's fucking nothing in a league where the salary cap is strict. Just die already. As for my playoff predictions, I have the Central going to Winnipeg, Nashville, and St. Louis, with the Pacific going to Calgary, who clinches home ice, San Jose, and Vegas, with the wild cards being Dallas and Minnesota in that order. Now I know what you're thinking. Well, I thought you said Arizona would be a good spot. Fuck off, these are my predictions, okay? Jeez. Anyways, this has been Trey McGaffin, and I'll be seeing you soon.